when your heart is tired.
The C9 beans have been spilled. It is a hot mess right now with all the beans all over the place. But luckily you had me to go through and basically get a little compilation, I guess, of all the screenshots from the DD2 Discord over all the different things that IDHC, who's one of the DD2 devs, with all the leaks that, you know, he gave us about this new C9 update. So currently it is February 8th. All this stuff is within, like he said, all this stuff within the last 10 days. So based on what they were saying about when the DD2 update would drop, we might still have another week left. So there could be more information that gets released before then. And maybe a dev stream this Friday, who knows? I guess we'll find out. But this is all the information that I have came across just from keeping an eye on the DD2 Discord. If you're not on the DD2 Discord already, you probably should join, so you get to see all this stuff before the update actually comes out. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. So the first part would be about just C9 in general. So one of the first things that IDHC was talking about was he answered 19's question about the material cost and if it's still going to be around like 15 mil gold to upgrade all of your C9 gear from 0 out of 10 to 10 out of 10, or will it be reduced? Well, IDHC answered this question. Now this is all subject to change. Like I said, we still have like a week left, so who knows. But on the 28th of January, he answered 19's question with, at the moment, it's the same, but it might be reduced soon. So we don't know if that means when the updates were released, if it will be reduced, or if the following weeks or a month later, it will be reduced after that. So we don't know yet, but as far as we know now, you would still be like the C9 gear in order to upgrade it through, I guess, the quote-unquote ranks. It will cost the exact same amount. Now, you will save money on your C9 amps because C9 expeditions will be dropping amps like crazy, so you will be saving money there. But as far as the gold and defender metal cost, it will still be 2k defender metals or 15 mil gold. So the next question was, how much money will you get from playing one C9 expedition? Well, without any resets, IDHC said you're going to be getting around 86,000 gold. That is what it's currently at. He did confirm it is currently at 86,000 without any resets. So like I said, subject to change, it might go up to 90k, who knows, but at its current state, it is at 86k gold-ish, around 86k. So it's not exactly 86, it could be like a few more gold there. Who knows, we're gonna find out though. So the next part will be about Onslaught. So C9 and Onslaught. Now, big question was, when you do a C9 expedition, you reset, what Onslaught floor would it put you at? IDHC confirmed that it will put you at 300, floor 300. So if you do one C9 expedition, you will automatically be put at floor 300 in Onslaught. Which, if you reset at 300, it would give you your 999 talent caps, which is massive for new players. And it would give you over 3,000 ascension. I don't know exactly how much, it's probably around like 3,100 ascension, but that is huge for new players, like absolutely massive. So if you get a C9 carry, you instantly could reset and bang, you got your 3,100 ascension around about and your 999 talent caps. So keep that in mind when this is released. That might actually be extremely efficient just to get a C9 carry and reset right away, and then, you know, progress through again. or spam out resets. He also confirmed that when you do your reset, after 50 resets, you will have to go from floor 300 to around floor 320. So after 50 resets, you're going to be having to do floor 300 with campaign gear, which is kind of rough. But with the rings, we're going to talk about, you know, the little special things we're going to get from the rings a little bit later. But with the rings, it's going to make it a tad bit easier for resetting. So next we have the C9 scaling. So how hard is C9? Now we already know from the dev stream that it's going to be equivalent to around floor 350. It could be a little bit less, a little bit, well, probably a little bit less. I think when I checked the enemy level, it was around like 340-ish. So it's gonna be around 350. When it comes down to Onslaught though, this is huge. When I seen this, I'm like, oh, this is actually foreshadowing to the future of the DD2, I guess, future updates. The range of C9 is technically, now this is IDHC confirming this, it's technically between 300 and 599. So when we seen the C8 update happen, C8 was from 99 to 999. That was all C8. So there was no C9 tier where it changed to C9 at all. So by IDHC saying that the range is technically between 300 and 599, and well, I think he said C10 is between 600 and like 850. So by him saying that, don't quote me on that, I'm pretty sure it's around 850. But by him saying that, that is foreshadowing to the fact that we're going to have C10 expeditions in the future. So keep that in mind. Now, that's just me making observations, I guess, based on what he's saying. I mean, it could mean nothing, but it seems like C10 expeditions is a guarantee in the future. But with that being said, C10 gear on release is not guaranteed. So IDHC confirmed C10 gear won't be obtainable for now. So which means there's going to be no C10 amps. There's going to be no new materials. I'm assuming that they just haven't figured out what kind of material they want to see 10, 11, and 12 to be. So I'm guessing because they didn't figure that out yet, they're not going to release C10 into the game yet. Now that is just my personal opinion. When this update finally does happen, for all we know, C10 amps will be in the game. But as of this post, which was on January 28th, as of that post, C10 is not in the game at all. Speaking of resets, we all know rings are going to be coming into the game. What we don't really know is much about them. Like, we don't know the upgrade costs, we don't know what kind of rings. All we know is like the piercing ring, and that's it. So we got some information about it. One being, when you do your reset, rings will stay C9 and they will not be reset during a reset to like campaign or anything. Rings will always stay as C9. So they will always keep their power and everything at C9. Nothing resets about the rings. Now that is huge for resets, especially after 50, when you have to do 300 to 320. Gives you a little bit extra power, considering they stay at C9. Now they don't affect your gear score at all, so it's not like it's gonna put you in a different chaos tier and you're not going to drop below that chaos. You're still going to go back to campaign. It just would just be an extra like buff for your hero, so when you do your resets, it makes it a little bit easier. Now with that being said, IDHC confirmed that there are going to be no defensive rings, so everything's going to be offensive stats. I'm not sure if hero health will be a part of the offensive stat, but they're going to be able to be rolled as hero damage and AP 100%. I'm not sure about hero health. I mean, I didn't really ask him about it or anything, or I didn't even look back at the VOD to see if Philip did have a hero health ring or not, but it is confirmed there's gonna be no defensive rings. It's all going to be offensive stats, but still really nice to have for resets and everything. Now the power level of the rings. Now this is kind of confusing to me. I'm not exactly sure how this works, but I think I have a good idea on how it's going to work. Now IDHC said the power level on them acts like a multiplier for the stats. So 25 power is 1.5 times stat multiplier to the ring. So we seen the little power, like the power meter 0 out of 50 on the bottom, like the upgrade thing for it. So I'm assuming if you upgrade that halfway, then it's going to be a 1.5 times stat multiplier. So if you have a 1000, I guess we say ability power as like your secondary stat, then it would be 1.5 times that for 25 upgrades. So I think that's how it's going to work. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess we're going to find out very shortly. So with that being said, how do you get rings? So we know there is, I believe, 8 different ones, or no, 9 different ones. 8 of them will be coming from primes, and the 9th one will be coming from expeditions. I believe there is 9, but one was going to be coming from C9 expeditions, and the other ones all will be coming from prime. So each prime will have its own different ring that you can farm for. So primes are basically going to be super active at the start of this update, and there's going to be people farming all the primes. So with the C9 introduction, all primes are now going to be C9, so all of them are going to be a little bit harder. Like we've seen with the C8 update, they all got a little bit harder with the C8 update, so now with C9 they're going to get even harder than that. So IDHC confirmed that the primes are all going to be around floor 500 to 600, with power surge being 290 to 300 floor wise. So 300, as I said earlier, is the low end of C9, so 290 to 300, it's basically nothing in comparison to, you know, C9, what we're going to be used to with C9 expeditions. So we're not sure if the tree meta would still be the same thing with power surge, with the dragons and all that stuff coming in. We're hoping they don't fix that, because power surge is going to be crazy, especially with the enemy levels, and we don't even know if the trees are going to work against the enemy levels on C9. So we're all going to find out very quickly about that. Obviously there's going to be no C9 or no prime 9, because everything is like kind of one step behind, so it's going to be a prime 8, not a prime 9. But the rings will be dropped alongside the hyper shards. So the weapons you also could get from primes, the weapons will be on a separate drop table, so you can get a weapon drop and a ring drop at the same time. So you're not going to get rings over the weapons or the weapons over the rings. So I guess that's a good thing, especially because I'm farming for Ancient Vigilance and Gridlock Sword, so I won't have to worry about having an extra item on the drop table. So we talked about C9 expeditions, we talked a little bit about the primes and onslaught and the rings. So the next thing I want to touch on is the new shard, the new C9 shard, Electric Arcing. Everybody kind of had mixed emotions about this when they showed it on stream. It basically makes the LSA not a DPS tower, it makes it more of a utility tower. So IDHC gave us some beans about it. They showed us the shard itself fully upgraded, but they did not show us what it looks like when it's gilded. So IDHC basically confirmed that when it is gilded, the electric arcing would do 80% less damage, and it will be split between 5 enemies. So instead of the 84% less damage and 3 enemies it could hit, it would be 80% with 5 enemies. IDHC was asked if the new oil catapult would be AoE, and he has confirmed that yes, indeed it is AoE. And not only that, but it does oil and earth damage. So earth damage will definitely help with the petrify a little bit. So you could mix the catapult with a flame or a like a poison skyguard or something along those lines, or like a poison weapon man or something like that to help with fly lanes for a little bit of AoE petrify. Now with that being said, the Skyguard towers also got a little bit of a rework. Once update happens, they will be having a little AoE effect when they hit when they hit an enemy. So it's gonna be a very small AoE effect, which IDHC said it was around 200 to 300 range, but it's still really nice for spreading petrify on air enemies. And normally air enemies like kind of clump up together, so it definitely will help with that. Yeah, so they also reworked the EACs. The EACs, if you don't know, they have some targeting issues where if an enemy comes behind them and it's not towards the quote-unquote face of the EAC cannon, then they won't target it. So it's going to truly have its 360 targeting, which is a pretty big buff for them, and they're already strong as it is, but that's a pretty massive buff for them. Another update that's going to be happening, which not too many people know about, is going to be for weapon mods. Well, I should say elemental weapon mods, so things like the poison chips, the oil chips, and like fire chips and things like that will be taken off, or I should say will be unlocked from specific weapons, which is nice because some like cosmetic weapons people like the looks of, but they just don't use them just because they have these locked mods that just aren't useful for them. So that's a pretty nice update, especially for the kobold cleanser, which a lot of people really like the cosmetic of, Jade being one of them. And the toxic shock is the poison chip one for the huntress, so that's a really nice cosmetic one. So yeah, but they're going to be unlocked, which means you can remove them and replace them with a mod of your choice. When asked about the new map in Onslaught, it was confirmed that the new map will be introduced into Onslaught. Forget the name of it. It's like kind of like the inside of a volcano. It's going to be in the Unholy Catacombs region. So IDHC said that he thinks it's going to be rollable on Onslaught floors ending in 2, 3, 6, 7. But I'm probably going to say his name wrong. Karumi. I believe that is something house. I forget his other name he goes by, but he corrected him and said that 3s aren't in that group. So I'm thinking it's going to be in the 1, 2, 6, 7 group instead of the 3, 8, 9, just based on IDHC saying 2, 3, 6, 7. It just makes sense for it to be 1, 2, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 6, 7, we should be looking forward to being able to roll this new map. I think this new map will be really good for Onslaught. I feel like it's going to be a very efficient map to play, but we will find out fairly shortly. Now, speaking of the new map, C9 will be bringing us a new boss, not just a mini boss, but a actual new boss. So we don't really know too much about it, but what we do know is that the boss is going to be super hard. At least that's what CG says. And the crazy part is this new boss will be dropping 8 to 10 clusters on C9. That is just insane. 8 to 10 clusters, that's like 4 to 5 C8 Unholy Catacombs maps. So this would be the new best way to farm for clusters. It's definitely going to be the fastest way. I'm not sure if it's going to be any different in Onslaught if you get any extras or anything. But that is just crazy to think about. 8 to 10 clusters. That is so insanely efficient to farm those. And last, but definitely not least, we'll be talking about the Goblin Insurance, which is huge. Goblin Insurance, if you haven't heard what that is yet, it's basically an item you can buy with, I believe, gold. You could do it with the gems or defender medals, and it lets you transfer a mod from one item to another item without the original item being destroyed. Currently, if you do that, the original item will be destroyed, but this after this update, the Goblin Insurance itself will be destroyed and not the original item. So it was confirmed by IDHC that you can, with one Goblin Insurance, you can do up to 3 mods. So you could basically transfer an entire relic without that relic itself being destroyed onto a new relic, which is crazy because if you just want to move some mods over to like a relic that has like perfect stats, but the original relic is like already C9 10 out of 10, you spent a lot of money on it, you could do that without that original relic being destroyed. So that is awesome. And then the final little bean that we got, which nobody asked for but we're getting anyway, is the last stand chip got fixed. It's going to be changed after, you know, this next patch. So I'm not really too sure how last stand works, as nobody ever uses it, but apparently it now procs every 120 seconds and swapping does not proc it. So I don't know who asked for it, but we're getting it.